Welcome back to Rapture Tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and get ready for another story you won't forget. Let's dive back to the story. In London's cold, glowing streets, Alexander Beaumont moved with the confidence of a man who owned the world. At 32, he had built a financial empire, yet his life was empty, governed by rules, control, and ambition. Emotions were weakness. Love was a distraction. That night, restless and unsettled, he wandered past bustling cafes and dimly lit alleyways, craving something he couldn't name. Lily Montgomery, orphaned and trapped under the cruel stepmother Victoria, lived a life of endless servitude. Her dreams of painting and freedom were crushed daily, leaving her small, desperate, and weary. That evening, forced out onto the streets, she searched for warmth in a city that seemed indifferent to her existence, unaware her fate was about to collide with a man whose power could change everything. Alexander's eyes caught sight of Lily as she stumbled along a rain-slicked street, shivering and vulnerable. Something about her innocence struck him, a rare spark in his cold world. Normally indifferent, tonight he felt drawn to her fragility, though cynicism held him back. Offering help was uncharacteristic, yet he found himself speaking. "Come with me. You can't stay here." Lily hesitated, terrified of strangers, but desperation outweighed caution. The mansion he led her to was vast, imposing, a world apart from her own, yet she felt a mix of fear and awe. Alexander's presence was commanding, intoxicating, and terrifying. When she whispered that she was alone, he ignored the warning signs of vulnerability, unaware that this night would change both their lives in ways neither could foresee. Inside the mansion, warmth and opulence contrasted sharply with the city streets. Lily, exhausted and confused, tried to make sense of her sudden fortune. Alexander poured wine and offered comfort, though awkwardly, as he never dealt with genuine human fragility. His arrogance clashed with her innocence, and yet, beneath his controlling exterior, a hint of curiosity flickered. Later, in a moment of vulnerability, Lily confessed her secret. She was a virgin. Fear clouded her words, begging him to respect her, to let her go. Alexander, intoxicated by power, wealth, and alcohol, dismissed her plea. In his mind, she was testing him, manipulating him. That night, he forced himself upon her, shattering her innocence and trust, leaving scars neither words nor wealth could erase. Morning brought a chilling revelation. Alexander awoke to find Lily gone, the mansion empty and silent. His gaze fell on the white sheets, now stained crimson. Shock, guilt, and disbelief collided inside him. The truth hit harder than any business loss he had ever faced. She had been honest. The realization shook him to his core, leaving him numb and haunted. Alexander's mind raced, guilt clawing at his arrogance. For the first time, he questioned everything: his power, his choices, his cold detachment from humanity. Outside, the city carried on unaware, but inside him, a storm had begun. He knew he had to find her, not to regain control, but to seek redemption, though he had no idea how to undo the damage he had caused. Meanwhile, Lily wandered the streets, broken, terrified, and bleeding from more than just physical wounds. Exhaustion weighed on her, yet hope flickered when a young man approached, Daniel Hartman, a kind medical student. His warmth and compassion were a balm to her raw pain. He offered shelter and food, little knowing the depth of the storm she carried. In Daniel's humble flat, Lily discovered a hidden letter from her late mother. It revealed shocking truths. Her father had not been a poor laborer, but a charitable man targeted by powerful enemies. Victoria's cruelty had hidden this reality from her, keeping her in poverty and fear. The revelation ignited a new fire in Lily, a mixture of grief, anger, and determination to reclaim her life. Alexander searched London relentlessly, visiting every street, questioning strangers, haunted by regret. He confronted Victoria, who tried to deny her role, but under his relentless gaze, her lies crumbled. He began connecting dots between Lily's parents and his own family, realizing their fates were intertwined. The truth strengthened his resolve. He could not fail her again. Meanwhile, Lily, recovering physically and emotionally, started exploring the world beyond Victoria's shadow. Daniel's gentle guidance offered her stability, but she remained wary of trusting anyone fully. Her mother's letter became a roadmap, giving her purpose and a drive to uncover the injustices that had shaped her early life. The city no longer felt hostile. It felt like a place she could navigate with newfound strength. Alexander's obsession grew, not for lust, but for redemption. Each night he planned. Each day he strategized, determined to find Lily and make amends. Business rivals sensed his distraction, plotting to exploit his vulnerability. Alexander's empire, once a fortress of confidence, became a battleground of guilt, ambition, and fragile human emotion. Lily, meanwhile, learned to trust Daniel slowly. She painted again, her art reflecting her trauma, resilience, and hope. She began to see herself as more than a victim. Yet the memory of Alexander's betrayal lingered, a shadow over her brief moments of peace. Every brushstroke was a struggle between pain and healing, and every letter from her mother pushed her closer to reclaiming her life. Alexander discovered a clue, leading him to Daniel's neighborhood. He approached cautiously, aware that guilt had made him unpredictable and desperate. Seeing Lily safe yet distant intensified his remorse. For the first time, he realized that love required humility, not control. Money and power were meaningless without trust and respect. Lily's world remained fragile. She feared Alexander's presence, unsure if his intentions were genuine. Daniel warned her to be cautious, but she sensed a change in Alexander, the humility and determination that no wealth could fabricate. The confrontation was inevitable, yet both feared the emotional collision that would follow. When they finally met, Alexander's apology was raw, stripped of arrogance. He did not beg for forgiveness, but sought to explain, to make amends, and to protect her from the city's dangers. Lily's heart wavered, tore between lingering fear and the spark of hope she felt in his sincerity. Meanwhile, Victoria's schemes escalated. She tried to manipulate both Alexander and Lily, attempting to maintain control. But the tide was turning. The truth of her deceit could no longer be hidden. Alexander's newfound empathy and Lily's resilience made them immune to her threats, forging a bond stronger than fear. As Alexander worked to rebuild trust, he quietly shielded Lily from his rival's attacks. He used his influence to empower her, sharing truths about her family's past and exposing Victoria's lies. Every gesture, every act of protection, became a small brick in the wall of regained trust. Lily, meanwhile, embraced her independence. She painted, wrote, and discovered strength she had never known. Yet her heart remained cautious. Forgiveness was slow, and love could not be rushed. The journey toward reconciliation became a shared path of patience, understanding, and gradual healing. Alexander's rivals, sensing the shift, intensified their efforts to destabilize him. Yet every challenge reinforced his commitment to Lily. He was no longer the man who valued only power. His world had changed, now shaped by guilt, redemption, and a desire to protect the one he had harmed. Lily, slowly opening to him, realized that Alexander's actions were consistent, his intentions genuine. The fear that had once defined her interactions with men began to fade. She saw a man transformed not by wealth, but by conscience and love. Each meeting, each conversation, deepened the fragile bond forming between them. Alexander discovered old letters linking their families, revealing that his father had once tried to help Lily's parents. This revelation deepened his sense of duty, not just as a man in love, but as a guardian of justice. He vowed to honor that history, no matter the cost of his fortune or reputation. Lily's heart wrestled with lingering pain. Memories of that fateful night haunted her, yet she found courage in Alexander's unwavering persistence. The city became a backdrop for healing, where love and resilience intertwined, and where past wounds could slowly be transformed into trust. Alexander approached every interaction with humility, never imposing, always patient. His efforts were deliberate, to earn back what he had destroyed. Lily, wary yet curious, began testing the waters, observing whether his actions matched his words. Meanwhile, Daniel supported her quietly, offering guidance without interference. He knew her heart was conflicted, torn between caution and a deep, inexplicable pull toward Alexander. Lily's struggle became a delicate dance of emotions, where forgiveness was measured and trust had to be rebuilt step by step. Victoria's influence waned as Alexander exposed her manipulations. She tried to resist, But the truth of her greed and cruelty was undeniable. Alexander's empire, once vulnerable, became a shield for Lily, a fortress protecting her from her past tormentor. Lily began painting again, channeling fear, anger, and hope into every stroke. Each canvas reflected her resilience and growing strength. She understood that Alexander's presence was no longer a threat, but a bridge to the life she had always dreamed of, one where love could coexist with freedom. Alexander faced his rivals head-on, refusing to let past mistakes dictate the present. His focus on Lily gave him clarity and determination, and his decisions became guided by conscience rather than pride. Slowly, the man who once wielded power without thought learned the value of empathy, patience, and integrity. Lily, sensing this transformation, cautiously allowed herself moments of peace. Trust was fragile, yet Alexander's consistency carved a path toward reconciliation. Their interactions, once charged with fear and tension, began to soften, offering glimpses of affection, understanding, and mutual respect. As seasons changed, so did their bond. Alexander's actions spoke louder than words, and Lily's heart, though guarded, began to thaw. Moments of laughter and shared silence replaced suspicion and fear. Every small gesture reinforced the possibility of love, rebuilt on honesty and humility. Victoria's final attempts at manipulation were thwarted, leaving her powerless. The city, once a maze of cruelty and deceit for Lily, transformed into a landscape of hope. With Daniel's support and Alexander's protection, she stepped into a future where she could define her own destiny. Alexander proposed a life of partnership, not ownership. He asked for trust and patience, acknowledging the scars he had caused. Lily listened, hesitant but drawn to the sincerity she now recognized in him. Love was no longer about dominance. It was about shared responsibility and respect. Lily, strengthened by trials and revelations, realized that forgiving Alexander did not erase the past, but allowed her to embrace the present. Her independence and courage were intact, and she could love without losing herself. Together, they began forging a fragile yet enduring connection, grounded in truth and redemption. Challenges continued, both personal and professional, yet they faced them united. Alexander's empire stabilized as rivals were contained, while Lily's artistry flourished. Her past transformed into strength. Trust, once broken, became a foundation for partnership rather than dependency. Every day brought new tests, but also new opportunities to prove sincerity. Alexander learned patience. Lily learned to accept vulnerability. Their love was neither easy nor perfect, but it was real, earned through struggle, reflection, and unwavering commitment. In quiet moments, they reflected on their journey, the pain, betrayal, and guilt that had once defined them. Alexander's arrogance had been tempered by remorse, and Lily's fear had been replaced by resilience. Together, they discovered that love could heal, that forgiveness could empower, and that trust could be rebuilt even after the deepest betrayals. The city that had once seemed cruel now felt alive with possibility. Alexander and Lily walked side by side, aware of their flaws, proud of their growth. Their connection was no longer a fragile hope, but a deliberate, chosen partnership, built on shared respect, understanding, and the promise of a future they could face together. Finally, Alexander and Lily embraced a new beginning. Their love, forged in fire and tempered by hardship, became a sanctuary for both. They chose a life together not defined by wealth or status, but by mutual trust, resilience, and a deep understanding of each other's hearts. Lily's independence thrived alongside Alexander's redemption. Every challenge they faced strengthened their bond, proving that even the most broken paths could lead to harmony. In a city full of shadows, they had found light in forgiveness, in courage, and in a love that neither power nor pain could destroy. That's all for today. Subscribe, and see you in the next episode. Stay tuned.